especially, but maybe even much of Asia, in doubt in future years to come, because the EU effectively now becomes tethered to US foreign policy in both trade and in non-trade matters. Um, there are also other issues that perhaps the EU is going to be very concerned about. The high tariffs averaging around 20% on Southeast Asian economies, and more so on some, including close to 40% on a couple of them, gives rise to the potential for significant trade diversion away from the US and into the European Union. And for instance, Vietnam has a trade relationship with the US of around 100 billion in exports every year, perhaps more so. And with the 20% tariffs it faces, alongside other restrictive measures, where will Vietnam look to as a potential market for its goods that will now possibly not reach US markets? And the obvious and most logical choice would have to be the European Union. There is a free trade agreement between Vietnam and the European Union, and tariffs have been almost basically pretty much reduced to zero between the two. But if there are sharp rises of Vietnamese exports into the European Union, and the European Union deems those to be basically a form of trade diversion, and it has a specific tool now, the import substitution tool, the import surveillance tool, that looks at sharp rises in imports, potentially from trade diversion. The question then comes down to, what will the European Union do in order to mitigate what could result as being significant trade diversion from the imposition of US tariffs on many Asian countries? So I think there are many questions ahead that really need to be resolved and looked at, and only ultimately, I believe, time will tell.